Hi and good evening, everyone. If it were evening, I would just keep going, but I have to say that it's not. And it's Thursday morning. I'm not sure the day, the number, or whatever, but I know that it's Thursday because I have to work. So that's the extent of what I know. And I also know that it's not evening. So I guess I know two things. And that's really good for me because I really would prefer not to know anything at all. This is kind of I just would prefer that. So, like, let's keep it like that. Anyways, this is why I don't have a watch. I never look at my phone when I'm not using it. And I don't know, just people have different ways of living, I suppose. Anyways, this morning I want to talk to y'all about line holding. Okay, so when we're kids, we experience lots of different social circumstances, scenarios, dilemmas, just IRL living situations. And I think we can all relate because at some point in our lives, if we're lucky enough, right? Because there are many millions of people all over the world, and I'm speaking of children in particular, that don't have the same kinds of opportunity that we have as it concerns our own experiences within education and our peers and stuff. And so, or the lack thereof. And so, when you're a child and there is no or minimal adult supervision, and it's like a Lord of the Flies situation when you get a group of 20 kids and you want them to all line up. I mean, what kind of social structure allows for that to successfully take place? I mean, at some point, the social group must organize. They must have some kind of cohesive, understood, almost entirely without verbalizing their thoughts kind of a thing. So, like, when you're getting in line and there's a bunch of kids, and I say that again, and I'm not trying to repeat myself, but what dictates the order of that line? I mean, and often it's circumstantial, right? It's like if you happen to be near the front or near the back, this is how we assess our situations in life, where we end up. This morning, now, I'm curious because I want to know how you guys feel about people. So this morning, I walk and I'm getting a haircut, right? You like it? I do. It's a haircut. Get over it. I'm happy that I can afford a haircut. I don't know. Anyways, because obviously I was getting a little bit shaggy there, and that actually is going to get into our next video. But right now we're not talking about that. So I am walking, and the place opens at 8, right? And so I'm up at the door in front of the door at 7:50, and immediately I'm like a child without adult or minimal supervision with the group in my peer group or cohort of everyone. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. There's a guy parked here and his car is on and he's parked in front of the door. So clearly he's also waiting to get into the hair salon place, the hairstylist place or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. This is like, I don't know, again, just kind of going back to being 5 and 6, this is like, okay, I'm about to be 37 years old, and what do I do? I'm clearly first. I mean, I'm by the door. Like I'm first. It would not be a question from looking on the outside, like who's first. I mean, however, does that change the fact that even from my understanding of the situation, that technically, even though I was first, he arrived before me? And that's the distinction in the language, is arrival does not correlate to place all of the time. Most of the time, and I just gave you examples of how it does, most of the time it's the most appropriate way of distributing random situations that occur in natural life. I mean, the natural mathematics of life are quite fascinating. You got your Poisson distributions, you got all these different distributions that take place in life every single day. And I just feel like I was first, both in the physical sense and now in the practical sense as well, even after having understood. And yeah, I've been in the opposite situation. There have been times where I have been in my car waiting at the front door and somebody has arrived in their car next to me and they get out first. And I always like curse a little bit, you know? I'm like, dang it. Like, I think that makes them first. I think I would be weird if I told that person, like, yo, like, what are you doing? I was here first. Because I may have arrived first, but where I physically was not an indication of the claiming in that spot. This is my life, y'all. Like, seriously, let's not try to laugh too hard at this guy here who really overthinks about everything. But really, do I? Because how many people have I seen, like grown adults in lines? I mean, there's viral clips on the internet of grown adults beefing it out because of people stealing their place in line. So it's just one of those things. It's a Lord of the Fly situation that you will never get out of because that will always present itself in the most weird and random kind of ways. I leave the, sort of conclusion to this video in that I just want people to think a little bit about what really is first when the person that arrives there but they haven't claimed the spot, or is first being in front of the door and in front of the person who was there first. And also, he was grumpy. Like, this was like a boomer, right? I mean, like, think of Charlie Brown, but like in your 70s. So this guy, he gets out of the car, and I mean, like maybe a minute before 8 o'clock, so like 7:59, I hear his car shut off, and I hear the guy get out, and he's like huffing and puffing, right? He's like, and I'm thinking to myself, holy potatoes, I hope he's okay. Does he have a life alert? Anyways, as I'm thinking these things, it's also clear to me that I think Joseph Smith, who's the guy that did the sociology things, I don't know, any one of them people, the observation guy, I think that guy, Carl Jung. Is it Carl Jung? Am I confusing people here? I'm not sure who it was, but the observational guy, that guy, it would be, he would agree 100%. This would validate. It's just, the vibe was there. Like, he knew what I'm talking about. He knew that I was there first, but he also understood, because he didn't say anything, that he had been there first, but he would have sounded weird. Just like I said, if he was like, yo, I was here first. Because, yeah, you arrived first, but were you here first? And the answer to that question is no, because as close to the door as he was never actually the first person closest to the door. Now, after all of that, I just want to let you guys know at home that when I walked into the store, I get to the counter, and obviously I walk in first because I'm first. And all of that thinking led nowhere, because the woman behind the counter was like, in a very unopen-ended question kind of like way, but like more rhetorical. She says, "Good morning. So were you here first?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, seriously? Seriously, I've been out boomed. Like, the lady that's checking me in is also a boomer. The guy that looks like Charlie Brown is driving a really nice car, and maybe she's thinking that he's gonna tip her more, which I also want to, like, publicly know that, like, I tip my stylist more than both of the customers that she served, including Charlie Brown. So things are interesting. And I don't like it when boomers call, like, okay, so now we have the employee involved, right? And even if the employee had witnessed all of that, which I'm sure she did, I'm sure it also went through her head. And that's what I'm thinking. So at what point did all of this running through her head lead to the conclusion that she was going to make it socially awkward for me? And still take the guy that arrived first but wasn't first. I just the human mind games are just they're relentless. I just am I a bad guy for saying that yeah, I'm down to play? I mean, this is fun. Like, I mean, can I don't know. Are there rules? Like, what's going on? I'm real interested. But anyways, that is an interesting sort of vlog, I think, about holding places in line and about where you stand and where you fall within that line. You don't have to take my word for it. You know, go out to a club, go to a restaurant, do something with a group of friends, and understand that there's a high probability that you'll also be forced into thinking some of these things. And whether or not you choose to recognize that is on you, but let me tell you, I just went through like a whole labyrinth of decision and ethics and mannerisms, all in just like well under 5 minutes. I mean, it was really intense. I hope that you guys have a really good night, all right, or a really good day. I'm so sorry. I really need to get that right. Bye.